All right. Thank you for coming, everyone. A couple things before I start. I think what's important is that you guys came here as product managers and product designers on the title, which is rather vague, we're bringing life to digital products, in the hope that you're going to somehow create soul in your product. And I have to commend you for that. Anybody that's in this room right now is wanting to create a product with difference, and personality, and connection with their users, and that's an amazing thing. So I'm really glad you guys are here. And I think secondly, look at this place. This is fantastic. I really got to thank Brad for lending us this space tonight because nice office. Okay, so about myself, I've been in UX and product design for many years. And right now I work with a company called In Marketing We Trust. And they're a conversion rate optimization agency. And really what that is these guys churn through tests and data and analytics to be able to make decisions about marketing campaigns and landing pages and all that kind of stuff. And they brought me in as a UX director to add the experience and the usability part of that equation in. That's quite a powerful combination to bring all that into the picture. So they're great guys to work with. Okay, so if I told you to meet me under the clock at Melbourne Central, if you lived in Melbourne, you'd likely know exactly what I'm talking about and where to go. I don't know how many of you have been to Melbourne. You may actually know what I'm talking about. It's this square right here. It's in a place, it's a mall in the heart of Melbourne, Australia. And this is just sort of a promotional court in the mall. And there's the clock itself. It's quite interesting. It's been there a long time. And tourists line up mesmerized by it, taking pictures as it sort of unfolds and opens up and has music and blah, blah, blah. But it's a piece that everybody recognizes. What's more interesting about this space is how it's hustling and bustling and vibrant and energetic any time of the day. Doesn't matter what time you go there. This is very low traffic at the moment. So when I tell you to meet at this space, right away you're thinking many things about, conjuring up memories about doing different things, meeting different people there. It's just got this vibe and energy to it, and it's this mixed space that has so much going on, so much variety in one space. You're having access to train stations and ATMs and independent retailers selling knickknacks, a promotional court and video walls and all the regular stores you'd have in a mall. Going through that, like fish in the sea, all these people moving around and waiting for friends, and it's just got this aliveness to it. I think all of you here, when you want to go to a cafe or have a beer or have dinner, do you go to the restaurant that's empty with no music and the waiter is in the back playing on his phone? Or do you go to the guy next door, which people are talking and enjoying each other's company and music and art on the wall and all of these things? I don't have to make you raise your hands for that. This is a really obvious decision. So, as an example, the other weekend when I went to the Rum Festival, it was this bustling, energetic place. The music was great. You would say that the event is about tasting rum, but in fact, it's about experiencing rum with others. And I think that's an important theme that will run through this presentation. So we're consciously and subconsciously picking up cues about everything in our lives, so places, products, events, and we're sussing out, does it feel alive? Does it feel energetic? Or is this thing dead? Or, and we have certain cues to determine that. Now, one of the beautiful things of living in Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi or any of the cities in Vietnam is there's such variety here. I could look at a streetscape or look at a bird's eye view of a city, and there's such incredible variety. The architecture, the heights of buildings, the widths, the colors, everything, and it feels alive. But how does all of this translate into a digital product? And one mobile app I pick up, and it's soulless, it's lifeless, and I only really want to use it when I have to. Banking apps, right? You only use your banking app because you absolutely have to do that transaction, right? On the other hand, there's those apps that you pick up and you just want to pick it up again and again throughout the day because you've got a connection with it. It feels alive. It's doing things that give it life. So as product people, here we are all together, what are the things that we checklist when we're making something? Well, we're making sure the design is good, it's aesthetically pleasing, it meets our brand language and all of these things, the pattern libraries, the usability, users meet their goals, functionality, kind of do all these special things to accomplish those goals. Behavior, so certain scenarios, it's going to behave in a particular way that's for a good outcome, and obviously conversion. You want to sell stuff, you want to be able to do that effectively. But do we ask ourselves, is it alive? Now, if all of you said no, I wouldn't put that against you. But hopefully by the end of this presentation, you go, maybe I should. So what constitutes being alive? Because obviously you're hearing this word alive. And I really had to think about it. Because if you think about life as in what are the characteristics and attributes of something that is alive, that's not an easy thing to define because there's debate as to what actually is alive. And it's difficult to connect it to a digital product. You're really laboring to make that connection. When you're talking about something that reproduces, what is that in digital? Maybe that's the app store. So what I've done is I've essentially put it into two buckets that you can consider when thinking if your digital product is alive. The first one is the app itself. What attributes make it interactive and engaging and inspiring and informative and a rich environment to be in that feels dynamic and moving, while the other is togetherness. Togetherness is an acknowledgement that we are social creatures using this app and that we want to see the presence of other people using it too and actively doing things on it. And those are the two buckets. I'm going to make it as simple as that, and we're going to go through the presentation. Just bear those in mind. Now, I'd say most of the people in this room have either been in e-commerce with their work, or in it right now, or will be in the lifespan of their career, or are in the vicinity of e-commerce. So I'm going to use examples from e-commerce, and if you aren't in that industry, I'm sure you can adapt some of this to where you are. Some of the things that I'm going to show may seem very difficult or challenging, and I say one thing that's really important, like if you're going back to your work tomorrow or whatever, and may take some of these ideas with you, is that many people will just say no. Can't do that. It's too difficult. We don't have the tech stack for it. We don't have the designers. We don't have the content people for it. Don't accept no. Go back and say, is there a particular aspect of this that is challenging for us? Tell me what that is. And figure out an alternative. Figure out how to scale it back until it is achievable. How many times I've been in conversations with management, C-level and that, no, we can't do that. And after 4 or 5 back and forth, we actually can do that because we've scaled back the expectations. I'm not talking about a viable product. I'm just saying there's certain things that are blockers. Get them out of there. Just think of it that way. And then finally, these are ideas that are out there already. That doesn't necessarily mean I want you to go and take all of these and put them in your site. These are things that work well for those sites. These are purely to illustrate examples of liveliness in products. It's a starting point for you to discover what's right for your product, for your users. All right, let's get started with the first one. Content depth and richness. Now you realize e-commerce is really replacing traditional commerce. We used to all be able to go into stores and play with stuff and push buttons and feel textures and fabrics and all of that. We can't do that anymore. Instead, we've got product detail pages. And a lot of those are not a lot of fun, are they? They're pretty dry and to the point. So, in order for us to sell, This has to be a point that convinces someone that they have enough information about a product to be confidently purchasing it, and that it adds value to their life in some way. This here is a mid-range rice cooker, nothing particularly special about it, nothing too ghetto about it. And this is a very typical product detail page. And you can see the normal format and all of that. Let's have a walk through this page. We start off at the top, it's got a nice big close-up, got your usual images, who's going to sell it to you and whether they're trustworthy or not, category, pretty rough stuff. Here's some basic features, and dimensions, and something about the warranty and that stuff. No relevance at all. So, how do you feel about this rice cooker? Any feelings about this rice cooker? Not really. No. Exactly. Right? So, we've gone through, and apparently, the associated product that's similar to this rice cooker are pairs of underwear. Look at that. So, there you go. There's artificial intelligence working hard. So, I think we all agree this is a bit of a dry experience. Let's contrast that to a different website, a different approach, relatively the same rice cooker. Here we have this, generally the same format at the top, some related products that are actually related. And here we go into some products that the same manufacturer produces. And here we go, this is the meat of it. So here's a nice big close-up, it's a beautiful spread in a home setting right next to what it makes, close-up of the dashboard. Whole family absolutely loves it. More cooking. You can use this thing around the clock for all of your meals. Basically, this just feeds the whole family all day and night. And here we go with a nice dessert. She really likes it. Look at that. Force feeding the kids. It just goes on and on and on. See, I fooled you. I stopped it for a second. Here's the dashboard up front. Look at all those things that it makes. Space age technology here, guys. I got to tell you. Look at the layers of insulation, different types of pot. What's going on inside of this contraption as it's making the miracle of rice happen? And there's that final close-up shot. It's easy to wash. Makes a little chime when the rice is ready to eat. It's got a plug. Here's all the specifications. And then the grand finale, everything that comes in the box, and a certificate of authenticity to say this is the real deal. How do you feel about the rice cooker? You know, as a consumer, you're going and shopping online to buy a rice cooker, and you mentally have a checklist of things that you are checking off to say, does it meet these requirements? Do I feel confident this product's going to last for 5 years? Is it going to do the meals that I want to cook for my family? On and on and on. Had this not answered all of them and then some? I wanted to go buy this. I just thought, the thing is with this shopping site, and I'm not going to name names across this presentation unless necessary, all the products are like this. All of them. And I think their conversion rate versus the previous guys would be substantially different. And I think their ratings and reviews are certainly testament to that. Ratings and reviews and questions of products give you this amazing insight that's beyond what the manufacturer says, it's beyond what the seller says. It's other people like yourself vouching for the product or telling you to stay away from the product. And it's such a powerful tool. I don't think Amazon would be where it was, or it is now, without it. People would religiously, even if they're buying somewhere else, they would go to the Amazon reviews to see if the product was any good. And they're incredibly detailed, and it's such a rich resource of information. Let's look at the reviews, product reviews by the users on that same page for the rice cooker. Now, what you probably can't see, particularly in the back, is that there's 630,000 product reviews. That means 630,000 people, plus people, spent the time to craft a message about what they thought about a mid-range rice cooker. What I find more fascinating is that 1,900 of them did video of their rice cooker. Stop and think about that for a second. Holy crap. So there's 1,900 videos on here. What are those? Like, how many videos can you take of a rice cooker? And I'm about to show you. It's every facet and possible angle of the rice cooker. I have this rice cooker in my kitchen. Here's me opening it. Here's me controlling it. Here's me making things with it. If the product detail page was not vouching enough for this product, these certainly are. There's stories about people with relatives in the hospital and they're using a machine to make congee for them to get them back to health. It just never ends. Frozen chicken. Is it different? No, it's the same thing. Thousands of videos, not of bags of chicken, but of people preparing it and showing off their chef capabilities to others. This is not any longer a review system. This is a community. And that's a vast distinction when you're trying to get people to come back and make the site sticky and informative and interesting, and the variety. I mean, really, you could just sift through this and just for the sake of it and learn how to cook chicken, apparently. So I think this is really important to see about how that community affects selling of products. Now, the problem is chicken and egg is actually trying to get a vibrant review community. And so, like when I was on Tiki and I bought a water dispenser, the next time I went to buy something, at the end of that transaction, I said, oh, hey, by the way, you purchased that before. You want to just review it for us? Then it would send an email saying, hey, we'll pay you to review this. $5,000 for text, another $5,000 for an image or a movie. Is that expensive at the scale that Tiki works on? Absolutely. This is not a cheap thing to do. Is it effective? Certainly made me fill out all the stuff, get it done, get some credits. I'm buying this stuff anyways. Take it out of the marketing budget. That's essentially what it is. Let me show you where community goes wrong and how that feels when you're deciding whether this product is right for you. Aquarium, usually a fish tank. When you get into fish tanks, you start to realize really quick that there's a lot of nuanced details about the material it's made out of, the lighting, whether the top opens up or whatever, and these are the questions that people are asking. Looks pretty boring, doesn't it? It's pretty dreary and lifeless. And it's told me 4 times that it's got no review stars. And then tells me again in numbers that there's no reviews or questions or anything like that that's been responded to. And then what we have here are these dreary, faceless, unknown people asking all these questions in the dark that nobody wants to answer. It feels so cold and lifeless and like nobody's home. Will this fish tank even arrive if I buy it? That's how you feel. Which leads me to social proof. Now, social proof is not a new concept at all, but it's getting much better. And the masters of social proof is the travel industry. How many of you have booked tickets online for a plane or have booked a hotel room online, and when you're going through, they're saying, and in that shopping process, it's showing you, oh, there's only 3 seats left. There's only 1 hotel room left. Well, yes, the travel guys are the absolute masters of this. They do it incredibly well. Let's dissect a search result page. This is search result of hotels in Los Angeles. In this one page, this is the nuggets that we have to compel us to make a purchase, not when we want to make a purchase, right now. The urgency is now. Hurry, 56% of the properties are fully booked. Holy crap, if I leave it another day, I'm going to miss out. This hotel room was booked 19 times since yesterday, and it's 20% off now. The combination, if I don't act now, I'm going to lose out. This hotel was booked 68 times this week, and 94% of the guests loved it. Really loved it. So when you start combining these factors together, it's a very compelling picture. This one here, sorry, you just missed out. Now this could be seconds ago, minutes ago, hours ago, days ago, but I've missed out on this, and it's a snooze you lose situation. Not only that, but it's telling you, hey, Los Angeles, hey, you picked a really popular place, good on you, but you better act now because it's all going to be gone. You can see it's just amping up, but that's bringing life to the product, isn't it? It's telling you all the activity that's happening around what you're wanting to purchase. I mean, something that's completely inanimate is just a couch. 7 people just bought that couch. Does that slightly shift your likelihood to purchase it or consider it? Here's an interesting thing when you combine reviews with social proof. All of you, when you buy your phones, your mobile phones, you want to know how good that camera is, right? That's an important criteria. But when you go to the manufacturer's website, what do you see? Amazing shots. And you're thinking, are those going to be the shots that I take on my camera? Maybe. What they've done here is they've said, okay, we accept reviews and ratings, and people can upload photos. Why wouldn't we merge that together into 10,969 photos from that camera? See the life that brings to reviews? You now know that the answer to the question of, is this camera any good, times 10,000. But one of the things like live chat, I mean, this is a no-brainer. I don't need to tell you guys what live chat is. But it's the implementation of it that's very important. This is my bank account, and yes, I've blurred out all the details. The chat, which I kind of have to highlight, is so impersonal and so cool. By the color, the design, it's kind of telling me to piss off, right? What it should be saying is, we're actually here to help you. Actually, somebody gets on pretty quick, and they are helpful most of the time. But does that give the appearance, does it set the expectation of that? Not really. When you look at this page, has a friendly face at the bottom there. Let's chat. Doesn't that give you a much stronger engagement and desire to talk to that person and that your best interests are likely in their heart? Here's this dude here. You just click him and whoop, there we go. And now we're in a messaging environment that mimics what we're using every day in Messenger and WhatsApp. It's not this strange little sort of proprietary thing. It just looks like a regular Messenger app. And that brings life to it through extension of what we're using on our phone every day. Now, video and media, of course, video makes the site feel more alive, but it's the implementation and the execution of that makes all the difference. So this is Harry's, and they sell razors, and these were one of those guys that really transformed and sort of made products more cheap and more interesting from typically very large FMCG categories. And you go, oh, that's actually quite a nice spread there, hero shot of the shaver that you could purchase. But what if it becomes alive? Now you're seeing how light interacts with it. You're feeling compared to the person's hand. You're seeing the packaging as he's pulling it out. You're seeing the things that come with that shaver. Is that not a completely different experience and brings that page to life? Amazon tried to do something called Amazon Live, which was they'd have tons of videos of people doing stuff. This woman's frolicking on the beach with her kids and eating lunch. All of the things that are in that video are also for sale underneath. So it's creating that connection that sort of brings it to life to say that the store can easily sell you the things that are captured in that image. This is by now is actually starting to get low tech, because what's actually coming in the future that ramps up the aliveness of selling is something like Taobao Live, which actually is streaming with the seller in real time, showing you the object, and you're text chatting directly with them to interact with that product. And with jewelry, you go, okay, that's nice, you can see how it interacts with the light. But once these ladies start to walk back and forth, and you're asking them, turn around, I want to see the back, I want to see how long are the arms, etc., you realize the strength of this format for selling, and it's going through the roof in certain countries, and it will come here, and it will most certainly explode. Content structure, very quickly, bringing life to a web page or a mobile app isn't just all sorts of these interactive things. It's something as simple as having engaging backgrounds, or not using just grids, but using organic layouts that overlap and protrude and mingle things together to make it that much more interesting. Something interesting about this Belroy wallet, which is another sort of staple.com company that sells these wallets that hold a lot more than their size would tell you, is that they're using illustrations, large format images. And then when we get to the bottom here, what's quite fascinating is they're telling you, well, what fits into this wallet? How can we put this into perspective? It looks like we look into this. There's something so amazing about this spread of things. They've gone to the trouble of crafting, Belroy Air and Belroy Bank, and you start looking at the cards and, I wonder how they treat the driver's license. And it's engaging you, and it feels like it's kind of this alive thing. It goes back to when we were a kid and we're looking through books and there's all these interesting things, and you just want to just explore it. When you want to explore, that means it's kind of alive and it has substance. Interactivity, of course, that's a no-brainer, that's going to bring life to a product. So, for example, this phone charger, if it was just left like this, you'd go, yeah, okay. It's the interactivity of seeing it being placed on when you move your mouse onto it. It's a game changer. This is a totally different experience with a minor amount of work. Limbo states. So there's wait states. So for example, you do a search, a little spinning thing, and then the product shows up, or the search results show up. That's a limbo state. Well, that's what I coined a longer duration that is of a somewhat unknown time frame. So an example would be, you buy a product. The limbo state is from the time that you purchase the product to the time it's in your hand. There's that waiting period of how long is it going to be? When is it going to get here? All these unknowns swarming around in your head. Or it could be, ordering a Grab, and then, that time between when the driver's been hailed and the time it arrives. So it may be very short, but that's the time that you're waiting for that to occur. How many of you have worked in or are working in a building that has that elevator system where you punch in a number and then you wait and you wait in front of elevator D, and you wait and you wait? How many people? Yeah? And what's your thoughts on those elevators? Did you feel that like you're waiting a long time? Yes. The interesting thing is that when you use that elevator and you wait a long time each time, and then you get in, it politely says, sorry to keep you waiting. And the first time that happens, you go, oh, that's really cute. Oh, it really cares about my feelings, and that's it's trying its best. That's great. But when you work there for a month or a week, toward the week, you go, oh, it said that yesterday 2 times and 3 times. And then at the end of that first month, you go, oh, this is. I'm getting a little bit annoyed about this. I'd like to actually strangle it, but it's an elevator, so it doesn't have a neck. And then after a year of that, well, I can't even show that to you. It's, But this is an interesting study on limbo states. That time that you're waiting for that elevator is a limbo state. Mitsubishi calls it a destination-oriented allocation system. That's what those elevators are. That's what you can blame for all that time waiting. What I call it is that because there's no indication above the elevators as to when it will arrive or where it is, there's no sense of progress or momentum. And that's very important, and I'll show you why in a minute. So when there's an indeterminate amount of time, because you can't gauge it based on where it is currently, it feels like infinity. It may be exactly the same amount of time as the older generation elevators where you see, oh, it's on the 6th floor, it's coming down, so maybe a minute. But because it doesn't say that, the whole experience changes. That limbo state really becomes a limbo state. And occasionally what it'll do is it'll say that to go to elevator D, and you're waiting 10 minutes, and you push it again, and it goes, oh, actually, we rerouted you to B. And then you don't do that. So the expectations have not been met. And you really remember that. It's the association. I bought this on July 31st. Let's go through that journey. This was the limbo state. So, July 31st, I checked the status. Yep, order success. Check it later in the day. Okay, yep, we've received it. We're going to process it. August 1st, and it's supposed to arrive on the 3rd. August 2nd. August 3rd in the morning. Where's my remote? I got to present. Get a text message. 4:10. Sorry, bro. Your remote's not coming today. It's going to come on the 5th. August 4th. Notice a trend on what I'm seeing here. August 5th, the day it should arrive. I'm downstairs at my apartment. I see lineups of doing deliveries on motorbikes. Where's mine? I'm like the dog at dinner time jumping up on the table. Where's my remote? But you see the status, it moved. And not only that, the date hasn't moved. I call them. We promise we'll deliver it to you tomorrow. We promise. That's at 5:15. August 6th. Oh my God, look at this. Now it says it's coming on the 8th, which is tomorrow. And apparently they've finished packaging it. So I'm getting worried. Finally, at 3:48 in the afternoon, I get a call. Sir, I'm on my way, 20 minutes, is that okay with you? Yes, absolutely it's okay. 50 minutes after that, call center. Sir, is everything okay? Is everything all right? Yes, everything's okay. I got it. Here it is in my hands. Proof that e-commerce works. Why am I spending so much time in this presentation to go over this and labor the point of the limbo state? It's because we focus so much on selling something, we forget about the emotional roller coaster after the fact. That 5 days or whatever of me going, am I going to get this thing on time? So when you go out and buy your 30 million iPhone, tell me that's not the same emotional roller coaster to get that into your hands. I think it is. And the fact is that if you're in e-commerce, there are millions of these transactions happening all the time around the world, and the expectations will get more and more and more. If you're selling something, you're likely shipping something. That's why this one is so important. I think the last point on that is the call center was amazing. And they were so supportive, they called many times, and they made things happen that otherwise, if I left it to the technology, would not have happened. We need to shift that burden to the technology, which in part means it needs to become more alive. That's what it comes down to. Reciprocity. Don't make me say that 5 times fast. I practiced all morning. This is just an article about a car. This is no big deal. But what's interesting about reciprocity is that it's about the mutual giving and taking that works to everyone's benefit, a mutual benefit for it. And when I hit this page, if you actually dissect it, there is so much take and so little give. You have to realize, as people, we're very conscious of give and take. Are we both benefiting? Am I benefiting? As a consumer on an e-commerce site, I want the benefit. And so when I see a page like this, and you actually take away the gimme, gimme, gimmes of advertisements and advertisements, there's almost nothing left. It's almost unrecognizable. So it's something to think about when you're working in content or e-commerce, is to balance that give and take, because we're humans. That's the simple fact. Animals have this level of recognition, but amongst themselves. That's how ingrained it is into living beings. Empty state handling. We're getting so much better with empty state handling. If we're on an e-commerce site and we open up the shopping cart, before a while ago, it just said, you have nothing in your cart. That's not exciting. That's not alive. But when you create an illustration and a little tiny story and a caption that invites them to add things to the cart, does that not make it feel a bit more alive? Micro interactions, small details throughout the interface of your system add up cumulatively and make a big impact on the feeling that it's alive. Watch, and you've probably seen this in the Google Play Store. I'm going to take it and just swipe it, feel the feeling, the smoothness, the locking in per 3 tiles. It's so intuitive, it feels so right that you want to do it. There are so many shitty carousels out there that you have to press this arrow and it increments at 1 and it's a jagged animation. Just that one thing just makes that Google Play Store feel so much more intuitive. Like animations. Animation is making a comeback because we're doing it subtly and functionally and with purpose and deliberately rather than just animations for the sake of animations. When Casper sells a mattress online, mattresses are a very personal thing. You want a mattress that feels right for you. How do you convey that on a website? Well, if you went to the store, you would push down on it to feel the resistance. That's beautiful. A light animation to show the flow of air that comes through it. Just small things to support what it's claiming. Now, beyond this being a great social integration into a product page, it then goes and shows you this. And this here, let's do this again. Watch carefully. The person just breathed. Does that not make it more alive? They could have just stuck a mannequin on there or whatever. Just a slight breath. Someone took the attention to detail to add that in, and you better believe I saw it. Just some small details like that, it would have taken a lot more time to just add that in, but how many people may have just been thrown over to go, yeah, you know what, actually I want this product. And there's so many other ways that we can do this. I can just go through a grab bag of things. Voice control, how natural and alive is it to just talk to something and it gives it to you? When I said to Google Assistant, I said, hey, I'd like to buy a pair of men's shoes, brown leather, size 46. It said, okay, here you go. Here it is on Amazon. That was so natural. I just picked up my phone and asked. You need to be thinking about how we're integrating into these voice assistants. It's in every one of your pockets right now, and it's not being leveraged and utilized enough, both at the product management side and the user side. But at some point, that will tip over. Currency of the information. There's something about a site with dated information that makes it feel dead and soulless, like there's nobody there at the wheel. And every time I log into my bank, it reminds me of this, because in the newsflash, you can now reset your password on the website, dated September 5th, 2015. Every single time for the past 5 years, it would tell me that. How do I feel about what's happening behind the scenes at that bank? How does it make me feel? Copyright date, 2013. What's happening behind the scenes? Is anybody home? Another thing, having adaptive content, but not just adaptive content, but smart content. Let me use this as an example. Let's go back to aquariums and fish. I want to buy an aquarium heater. So you do the search. The system automatically detects, okay, he's looking for aquarium heaters. Let's show him lots of aquarium heaters so that he can buy one. That's great. I bought one. So what happens after that? This was done today, or this was done preparing this presentation. I bought the heater months ago. I'm still seeing heaters. If I told any one of you today that, hey, I bought an aquarium heater today, oh, that's great. If you came back to me tomorrow and said, hey, you want to buy an aquarium heater? It doesn't make any sense. Anyone that's alive is not going to do that. So it's about having the smarts to say, okay, he's bought one. Let's show him contextually relevant products that may suit a tank of that size of the one that he bought. It's something to think about. Notification trays. That sounds really boring. However, what it does is it demonstrates the life that is happening in your site. You can't expect your users to be dredging through every nook and cranny of your site, trying to find coupon codes and promotions and special offers and having to go back to their status page every day to find out when their clicker's showing up. You want that centralized into something that is a central, single source of truth of all the things happening on this site that are relevant to you. That sounds alive to me. And finally, written content. We're very, very fixated on visual design and animations and graphics. But well-written copy and a good content strategy that speaks to an internet audience is unbelievably powerful. You cannot underestimate how powerful it is to have a good caption at the top of a hero image. It is unbelievable. And conversion rate optimization specialists will tell you that. Just simple changes in words and the uptick in conversion. It's magic. So, everything that I've showed you tonight on this journey, you may look at them as features or have in the past said, okay, these are a series of features. But in fact, I want you to change the frame of your mind to say, these are actually things that are bringing life to my application or mobile app. And that changes the way you think about it and ultimately the outcome that will occur. Very quickly, here is a potential action plan that you can take with you tonight and consider about how you can bring life to your product in the coming days. Let's skim through a few. So you want to eventually adopt some consciousness about aliveness in your design process. Create a checklist of things, criteria that you can evaluate when new designs are being made. Does it feel alive? Does it check these boxes to say, yes, it's alive? Is it going to be part of your design system and your content strategy, the way you design and the way that you write things? I think a great start is to conduct a workshop. Round up your designers, your devs, some managers, product people of all sorts, and do a workshop to really frankly ask yourself, is this thing alive and what can we do to improve that? Ask your users. And I think it's something where this has to be driven from the leadership of your company. They're going to inspire you and they're going to stimulate this conversation. This is something that they should be taking on. Because what it comes down to is that you respect something that's alive. If this is just a mobile app and, okay, we got to add a new feature because it's in this sprint and C-level asked for it because our competitors have it, how dedicated are you to it? Versus treating this like something that's a living being. You know, a puppy entered my life in the past 5 days, and I'm sleepless because of it. But when I watch it there, breathing and yawning when it wakes up, you realize that you have such immense respect for that creature. And I'm not saying it's going to be the same for your digital product, but maybe it edges it towards that just a little bit more than before we've had this conversation. So in conclusion, by putting your heart and your soul into your products, your product will have soul. Thank you.